Welcome to the Volunteer Youth Worker Podcast. Youth ministries rise and fall on the volunteers, so we are here to encourage and equip you. Join the conversation as we tackle the practical questions you are asking so you can help the next generation know Jesus.
All right, everybody. Well, I've got my friend Deniel. And Deniel, I think when you've been on the podcast before, I probably do this preemptively where I say, I introduce people as my friend, but we actually spend time together. We work together.
Yeah.
We legitimately know each other. We hung out at Today's Teens Conference earlier this year. But why don't you fill people in if they don't know who you are or where you're coming from? What's life look like for you these days?
Yeah, so my name is Deniel. It's spelled kind of like Daniel, but it's pronounced Deniel. And currently,
how many times do people get that wrong?
Every day of my life. There hasn't been a day where someone's like, "Oh, is it Deniel? Is it Danielle?" I get it. I understand. My mama was creative. I understand.
Do you know any other Deniels?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think I know any either.
No, that's not true. High school ex-girlfriend, her niece was named Deniel. Spelled totally different than mine.
Ooh.
But yeah. So yes.
Well, it's nice to have a creative name, though. This is an aside, but we named our daughter Ember with an E, thinking it'd be a creative name. Here's something new that nobody would have. There's 2 Embers in her class, in her kindergarten class. Yeah, so she's Ember M. We tried so hard. We're not going for Sarah. We're not going for the common names. It's not an Amanda. No, there are 2 Embers in her class.
Yeah, all you guys are thinking the same. All the parents at the time were thinking, unique. I love it.
It's all good. Okay, so Deniel, you are in Barrie, Ontario.
Yes, I am. Yep, I am at Connexus Church, where I serve as the next gen pastor here, which is fun. I'm married to my wife, Olivia, and we have 2 beautiful boys. So our life is fun. Let's just say that. It's a fun time all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And you're a city guy. You grew up in the city.
Yeah, I grew up close to Toronto, and I love the city. Even though people say Barrie is a city, it's city adjacent. That's what I'd say. It's close, but not quite.
Well, and I reference you because we had a conversation. And if you don't agree with this anymore, we could cut it. But you get life out of the city, and so
I do.
It's the oddest thing. I grew up in the country, and so I want to see ocean. I want to see sand. I don't want to see people. And so I think of Barrie as that's a big city because there's just too many people. But you would actually, because I find I like a weightless off my shoulders when I'm out at the ocean. But you find life in the city. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I want to see high rises and malls, and I want someone yelling on the phone while they're walking on the sidewalk. I want that busyness. I love it. Yeah.
Well, and the majority of the world lives in cities, and so I think sometimes in church world and for youth workers that are listening, especially our country of Canada. The majority of people do live in city centers, and yet it might seem perhaps like a lot of our ministries, a lot of our churches aren't in the city. And so if you are a youth worker in a urban core, just know Deniel appreciates you and gets you.
You're seen. You're loved.
Yeah. And we need you because there's not many. Oh my goodness. But we're grateful that you're a missionary to the suburbs, Deniel. That's helpful. Okay. Fill us in as we get into this conversation. This is something that I've wondered about. I've heard people reference. People know because they downloaded this particular episode. And so there's this idea for our ministries. We most of us have small groups. So if you're listening, you're a youth worker, chances are we're kind of assuming you run a small group type model. You've got a group of teenagers that you invest in. Maybe it's at your youth night. Maybe it's a different type of gathering. But there's a few that you're investing into relationally and in terms of guiding their faith. But then there's this challenge. Our groups are often open in the sense that a new kid can wander in. In fact, sometimes your point leader is adamant that this is the time we're inviting new people. Bring your friend. Everybody should bring your friend. And you're trying to balance okay, we've got this wonderful community that's forming, perhaps in your group, kids are starting to open up. They're sharing their hurts or their struggles or the hangups, their questions. And then the new kid wanders in and then all of a sudden everybody clams up. They don't want to talk because who wants to share about, their deep, dark sin when this person they've never met before is right there. And so how have you navigated that, Deniel, in terms of equipping your team, thinking about your ministry? Because this is obviously real for you guys too, but I think you've thought about it perhaps more than most of us.
Yeah, so what we say here at our church in general is that God is for you, so your church should be too. And we move that in every environment, so including youth ministry. So God is for you, so your youth group should be too. So we try to encourage our students and our leaders to be thinking about their neighbors, their cousins, their friends, or people on their hockey team, like who needs to be a part of a youth group, who needs a community around them that will want to invest in and want them to experience who Jesus is. And that tension does come up often. So we have two sites. We have one in Orillia, Ontario, one in Barrie, Ontario, and they're both two separate youth groups. One is a little bit smaller, so they're very tight-knit, and the other one is a little bit bigger, so there's a lot of fluidity coming for students coming in and out. And it got to the point where the Orillia youth group really didn't want to grow. They didn't want to invite their friends because, like you just said, like that is their space. But it all changed when they got to actually invite a friend and their friend had an experience. So a couple things. One is students will want to invite their friends when they are having an experience that they want to tell people about. So if they're having an experience with their small group, if they're having an experience in large group, they're going to want to tell their friends and invite their friends into it. It's like going to hockey games, like going to a dance recital, whatever it is, they want to invite people in because they're so excited about what's happening. So if there's excitement around the conversations, there's excitement around the life changes happening, they're going to bring people in. So that will change your small group in general.
Let's just pause there for a second, because I think that's so interesting, and that's wise. I think about like the connection for me. I'm in my late 30s. Is when I listen to a podcast, right? And that I want somebody, and then like I share it with my buddies. Like I used to send them a text, or I see a meme that I think is hilarious. Like I want to share it. There's just this natural inclination that we have as people that when something's good and something's great, we naturally want to tell the other people that we care about. Oh man, I went to this restaurant and it was amazing. I naturally want to share it. That's just a part of who we are. That's not it's not a character flaw. It's probably just kind of baked into our DNA. So yeah, of course it makes sense that if your students are having a great experience, they naturally want to find ways to involve other people. But yeah, that creates a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, but it can change because they can be having a great experience, but can also have an exclusive experience. So if it feels like, hey, this is just for us, like, then they're not going to want to invite their friends into that because this is my thing. This is only for me. And usually that happens when they feel like, hey, I don't have enough time with this thing. I don't have enough time with these people, with my small group leaders. I got to secure it. I got to protect it. I can't bring anyone else in because this is all I have. And for most people, like your youth night is probably 2 hours, let's say 2 hours or an hour and a half. But sometimes as youth workers, when we think about that 30 minutes we have in small group time with our students, but in reality, we need to think, actually, we have that hour and a half with our students where you can walk off to the side and get that update, get that gossip, get that tea, talk about that conflict that's happening like in their school, in their family life. So they have moments where, okay, I can actually have this deep moment. I can bring my people, my village together. We can have this conversation. Even if I bring my friend who's new, like I can still have that connection with my leader.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so for volunteers that are having a group, to try to imagine that their connection relationally with their students isn't just in that small group moment, but that small group moment is in fact just a springboard to what could happen in other places and other times, even on the actual youth night.
Exactly, yeah. And so often I hear this off my leaders. Hey, Deniel, I don't have so many hours in my week. I can't be like going to all the baseball games. Like my group is like 7 kids. Like I don't have the time. And I get that. That is true. But at the same time, we have the opportunity to text our students. We have the opportunity to still have that connection throughout the week. That won't take 3 hours, might take 5 minutes. But that youth night is so important because we have that time on a youth night to connect with those students, to connect with the other leaders, and really create an environment of inclusivity.
Yeah. Okay, so it's trying to think about, okay, if we are having an open group where people can come in, that we're moving some of those deep connections, some of those personal relationships, maybe even outside of the group time, and that might be okay. Maybe just give people a couple of handles. So, you've mentioned a few, but let's make it really concrete. If we've got a student, we're like, okay, shoot, they didn't get a chance to share about this thing because it was kind of personal and we had that new kid in the group. Can you offer us again, just rip through what are maybe 3 or 4 places that leader could do that follow-up spiritual care, that spiritual mentorship with that kid, even if it's a short time frame? Where can the leader be looking for those moments with their student? So you said text. We could text them.
Yeah, you can text. You can say, "Hey, let's go out for and grab ice cream. Let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Hey, can you meet maybe 20 minutes prior to youth, and like let's have that connection at church. Like you can say, hey, come early for church, and we can have that connection. Create moments that aren't going to derail your week, but be able to actually be a part of your rhythm of every week. It makes it a lot more natural. It makes it feel like students are part of what you do and not just a corner of your life, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then you also said the fourth one would have been something at the program night itself. Like maybe there's a chance at like kind of off to the side, hey, this game's playing, they don't need me for it. And so like I can just check in. That's kind of fair too, if the program allows for it.
Yeah, so most times there's that 15, 20 minutes prior to you guys actually heading into the auditorium or wherever your youth space is, where you guys have snack or just get to hang out and talk during check-in. That's a perfect time to connect with your small group and have those moments of just natural connection, just natural relationship building happening in that moment. It's also a great time for you to build that relationship with that new kid who's coming in with the other small groups. So when that gets that moment of being in small group together, it's not like, okay, so here's this new guy. I know you guys haven't met before. You guys had that moment of connecting prior to the games and during the games and building that connection so it feels like a safe space where they're a part of what's happening. Because here's the thing, that friend that's inviting that other friend, they have a relationship already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
So that kid isn't coming in being like, oh, I don't know anyone usually. Like if someone's inviting someone new, like usually they have that relationship so that you're building off of something that's already there. You're not trying to start from new, but you have the opportunity on that youth night to create relationship even before small group discussion time.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got another granular question for you, but just as a recap. So, Hey, we've got our small groups. That's usually where we think about like connection happening, deep conversation happening. But then if we have new kids coming in, it kind of disrupts that intentional, like that relational depth, perhaps. Mm-hmm. And so can we move some of the follow-up conversations, the pastoral conversations as volunteers to maybe one of four places? You know, you talked about messaging through the week. If your ministry allows for that, obviously check out. We always love FaithSpark. So if you don't have a tool for doing that responsibly, FaithSpark is great. You can, go gather with your students, midweek somewhere. But even coming early for the program or staying late or as long as their parents approve and everybody knows, or finding time at the program. Now, Deniel, what happens, I think, for most leaders and volunteers is it feels difficult to get to the intense relational conversations at a speed that allows maybe one of those four to actually work. So I'm going to give you like a couple case studies here to try to give us like an angle on it. So I'm a volunteer. I'm like, yeah, of course. We watch somebody preach on, on death, and then we have a small group and we talk about how our cat died, and then one kid in the corner is like, yeah, but my dad died when I was like 12, and so all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's the rich time to have that conversation. But then when you realize, oh, he didn't get a chance to really share, I've got to bring up this deep conversation about his dad dying and like what he thinks about that spiritually and maybe where God is. But I have to bring it up sometime midweek. How do I get to a deep conversation outside of my small group? How do I move from just, hey, like, do you like that dodgeball color, to something that's really meaningful?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jeremy. I think don't underestimate instant follow-up. So right after that small group time, say, hey, Jimmy, so thanks for sharing things. I know we didn't have time to dive in, but I'd love to connect you later this week and just talk more about this if you're open to it. Never force conversation. That's, but if he's open to having more conversation, create that time. So instantly just say, hey, I recognize you had this conversation. I know we didn't able to go deeper, but let's have that time. But also in your small group time, you can create a caveat, like saying, hey, I know this is a heavy topic that we just talked about in our message, and then maybe some of you guys have experienced death before, and it's actually a big deal. This might get a little deep, but know that I'm here afterwards if you guys want to have more conversation about this kind of thing. Set it up where they know this conversation actually it's going to go in this direction, and that's okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So if it's a springboarding out of the small group, I think those are a couple good handles. So clarify that in the small group. Hey, I'm available afterwards. I'd love to talk with us afterwards. Mm-hmm. What do you do for, I'm just thinking about some of those maybe older students, you've been their small group leader for a number of years, and so they love the fact that you can go the distance with them, but they're getting frustrated at all the new kids coming in. How can you just do, like, without knowing what needs to be talked about, how can you have like a intentional conversation that goes deep really quickly? Do you know what I mean? Like when you actually get a chance to chat with them, on the side of the gym wall, or like they show up for the program a few minutes early, how do you move past the small talk and actually like do something significant with a short amount of time?
Yeah, well, you said it, Jeremy. Like, you have a relationship with them already. Like, you've been with them for the last, let's say, 4 years. Like, they're in grade 12. So you have a relationship. So build on that relationship. Like, that's not just a light thing. So you can say, hey, man, Jeremy, I got a quick question for you, and just dive straight in. They're expecting that from you, actually. Like, here at Connexus, we would say, hey, I'm their pastor, yes, and that's awesome, but actually, in retrospect, their small group leader is their pastor, is their shepherd, is the person that's journeying with them throughout their high school years. So you have that relationship, so you can dive straight in, and they're expecting that. They're wanting that. They're wanting to be that, hey, can I pray for you right now, beside the gym bleachers, or in the gym, or in the grocery store, whatever. They are expecting that kind of reaction.
Yeah. What are some of the, like, if you just think about your own conversations, what are some of those things? So like, I like the idea of like, hey, can I just pray for you right now? I'm just thinking about this and I'd love to pray for you. That's like okay, let's jump to that. What are some other deep ones that you would like jump to? Like solid questions or comments, like that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, how deep are you on with this podcast, Jeremy?
Well, it just depends on your students, right? Like if you think about a grade like 11, 12 guy, or, you got a girl leader and she's got girls that she's been with for a while, like offer maybe a really practical, like I guess, how can I pray for you? Like that's a classic, like to jump to, but what would you say to move past surface talk? If you're seeing one of your guys, what do you want to do? What are you trying to get to quickly?
Yeah. So just a reminder, like those students trust you. So whatever you say, like they trust your opinion. They want to hear your opinion. So this is actually a real life situation. Happened this morning. So hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, it's a few weeks away, where a kid messaged me and he was like, hey, can we meet? And the funny thing is, like, their parent actually messaged me the day before. It was like, hey, just, my kid's going through this. I'm going to encourage him to reach out to you. Is that okay? I said, absolutely. Kid reached out. We said, hey, let's grab coffee. I try my best not to have most of our conversations over text, but actually in person in an open space. Just to put that out there, because it's going to secure, it's good security for you and also for them.
Yeah.
So we met for coffee, and I kind of had a preempt of what that conversation was going to be about. So I just said straight out, I was like, hey, so are you having sex with your girlfriend?
Okay, yeah. There we go.
And there was an awkward moment for a moment.
Yeah.
He looked at me and said, hey, Deniel, yes, we are.
Okay, yeah.
And because it was off the bat, we took away all the awkwardness of like, hey, like, am I going to try to work around this? Like, we just can't have a relationship. So it was very easy for me to ask that question.
Yes.
And we went to just talking about, hey, what does the Bible say? What does God think about? Like, we went to deep conversation in Starbucks because of just ripping the Band-Aid off and just asking that question.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean, because there is a sense for leaders, like we're kind of nervous to wade into things. But here's what I'm wondering about these days is that with the rise of AI chatbots, is students can actually have text conversations with a robot and feel like the robot knows them. And so if we're getting actually face-to-face with our students, this is the only time that somebody is willing to do that for them. And it's a unique thing that we can actually offer them, like our presence and our attention. And if we just let it, like we still want to be able to like shoot the breeze and like talk about March Madness or talk about, their hockey team, and that's fine. But like, what does it mean to actually go for the jugular? Like, let's be real with each other right away, because there's very few places that are willing to do that for our students. Absolutely. And so I like that intentionality that you've got. And so some of those kinds of things, how can I pray for you is obviously one of them. If a student is Christian, has been tracking with faith for a while, like maybe it's something like, hey, what's God been teaching you lately? And in some ways you kind of hope that there's something, but also sometimes you might have the sneaking suspicion that the student might just be kind of playing and they're showing up and there might not be anything there. But by you asking that question, it's going to open up the chance at having a deeper spiritual conversation, and you want the spiritual conversation with them. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Anything else that you would add to kind of that line of thinking?
Yeah, it's the best thing to do is to remind yourself that you are there on purpose for a purpose. Like,
Yeah.
you're not just a small group leader just to be a warm body in the room. You're a small group leader actually to pour into those students' lives, and you have a short period of time to do that. 4 years isn't a long time. So making sure that those moments you have with those students, like you realize like, hey, this is my opportunity to really guide them on their faith journey. They're not really looking for friends, they're looking for mentors.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for people to actually.
And even if they're not asking for a mentor, that's what they really need. And they'll respond to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really positioning yourself to be that person in their life. Because here's the thing, if you're that person for them, then when they invite that new friend, they say, hey, my leader, Jay, oh my gosh, like he helped me through this major situation. Like you got to talk to him. You got to actually connect with this guy because he's the guy that's going to help you, you know?
I love that so much. Okay. Last question for you. And then if you got any follow-up, wrap-up thoughts. But okay, so we've got some students that are hesitant about opening up our small group because they do want to guard it. And so we're now, like you've suggested, we're trying to move some of these kinds of like deep relational connections to other places. Is there anything else that you would say about making sure that our group, our students do still feel comfortable with a new person coming in? How would you articulate that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jeremy. It comes down to vision, I think. And even as a small group leader, it's your job to continue to push the vision of your youth group, of your church, with those students. Because guess what? Those students are going to become the congregants. They're going to become the people who are there on Sunday morning. So it's our job to continue to have that vision and mission in front of their eyes every week. And for us, it's like, hey, like you don't have to believe in order to belong. This is a place for you. It's a place where you can come and ask your big questions. It's a place where you can continue to like invite your friends, even if they aren't into the whole Jesus thing. We say that so often that like our students can recite that off, just like they can say the vision. So they know, actually, no, I can actually do this. I can invite my friends. So they know that, hey, this group is going to be a group where there are going to be new people coming in constantly because that is what we want. We want more people to hear about Jesus. We want more people to have that connection. We want more people to have those relationships. But something that we've done in the past that I also mentioned, Jeremy, that was really helpful for groups that are like, man, like, these are the same grade 9 boys I've had since grade 9, and now we're in grade 12. And like, I feel like, yeah, there's like a revolving door in our small group. There's always someone new coming. We do something called crew night, which has been super, super helpful, which just allows, hey, like if you are a regular, if you come on a regular basis, yeah, you can totally invite a friend if you want. But just to have those kids go and do an activity together, that just makes the bond even more. And a lot of our small group leaders like to do things intentional. So they do an intentional night. So it's either like, hey, come over to my house and we're going to play video games, but also have a really fun chat about something that I know you guys are all facing right now. Or, hey, this is something that I know you guys have been really wanting. We're going to do a worship night in one of the rooms here in the building. We're going to go and make t-shirts or just go and jump on trampolines, like whatever that activity is. Try your best to still honor those students that have been with you since grade 9, so they still feel like they have opportunity to actually have connection with you outside of that night or during that night. Yeah. If that makes sense.
I love that so much. Hey, Deniel, I'm wondering, well, first off, before we go to the close here, is there anything else that you wanted to say? Anything that we've missed?
No, yeah. Having an invitation culture for your students is making sure that you as a small group leader is also inviting. So you as a small group leader, you're also being in spaces where you have opportunity to talk about what you do midweek, where you talk about what you do on Sunday night, Sunday morning, to say, hey, like, you come to our youth group, come to our church, come experience what I'm experiencing as an adult. So you can't ask your students to do something and you not be willing to do it also.
Yeah, you got to have the stories because, we saw this actually in the research. Dave Ron did this. He released Contagious Evangelism forever ago. And it was all about, hey, the youth ministries specifically that grew, had leaders, adult volunteers, small group leaders who were sharing stories, not about them inviting teenagers to church, but them inviting their friends to church. And so if I'm a 38-year-old guy, my stories of evangelism can't just be about the teenagers that I might preach to. They have to be about, do I actually have peers that I'm journeying with and inviting to follow after Christ and to show up or to try out church? And if I don't, then it's a little bit convicting because, yeah, like you said, I'd be asking teenagers to do something that I've not been willing to do myself.
Yeah.
That's a little conviction to drop here at the end. Thanks, friend, for that. Why don't you wrap us by actually praying for the youth workers listening, specifically for boldness to wade into the significant spiritual challenges of our students. So I know there's a few leaders that are like, oh, wow, like I just like asking the questions and seeing where things go in my small group. And like the idea of them stepping out during games and like actually praying for a student one-on-one or, those kinds of things, it feels a little intimidating. And so would you be willing just to pray for boldness for them, that the Spirit of God might actually empower them to do that
Absolutely.
work with their students? Yeah.
Sure. Let me pray. Lord, we thank you for every single youth worker that is listening to this podcast right now. Thank you for the heart they have for the next generation. Thank you for the desire they have to see students experience you in a new and exciting way, a way that will change their life, that will transform their life forever. So, Lord, I pray that you will just equip these leaders to do your work, Lord. Give them the strength they need in order to, ask those big questions, give them boldness to be able to create spaces and times where they're going to connect with students, either one-on-one or with their small group that is not a part of their regular scheduled programming, Lord, or just be able to really allow you to speak through them in ways that they've never experienced you before. Lord, I pray that you would just remind them that you are with them, that you love them, that you're walking alongside them as they pour out your love, your grace, and your mercy into every student they get to encounter. Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for the youth workers here in Canada and the amazing work that they're doing. I pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you, man.